no one is criticising people who live in Saudi Arabia who love watching football. Like it's fine to be a fan.
I think we're allowed to punch up with the people who have private jets. So.
Yeah, but if you are going to sum up,
yes,
Saudi Arabia's move into football, you probably could sum up pretty well by seeing a video of Odion Ighalo in a gold-plated jet.
Yeah,
it's Odion Ighalo.
Do you know what? You're watching a clip from the Football Ramble podcast. For the full episode, search Football Ramble wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes out Monday to Friday. For now, enjoy this video. Wolves captain Rúben Neves has joined Saudi Arabian side Al Hilal for £47 million. So he's no longer Wolves captain, Peter.
No, he will have to relinquish that because he's not in the club anymore.
Can I still be captain of Wolves?
Can I still be captain of Wolves?
Might be tricky.
The club released a tearful video message from Rúben on Twitter saying he had a wonderful time and he's very sad to leave. And I often sort of think to myself, you can change your mind if you want with those moments.
Yeah, but
I know, Jim, I know. If you want that money, you've got to leave.
Well, I think being serious, part of it is that he has made a decision here that is kind of based on money rather than ambition, right? So he's leaving behind a lot more than the past 6 or 7 seasons, whatever it is that he's been at Wolves. There's probably a sense that he might feel that he has to do this because it might be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But he's stated before that he's wanting to play in the Champions League and things like that. And this is a huge, huge departure from presumably what his life plan was.
Well, you say that he's it's unambitious.
You make your own Champions League with that money.
Well, he's more likely to win a trophy there, is he not? The Wolves?
He is, but
Right.
it's not a trophy he's ever thought about before. He might not know what all the available trophies are even now.
Well, do
they have a League Cup?
Yeah,
I bet they're heavy. I bet they're heavy gold.
He did. He was a part of the
trophies.
Portugal squad that won the UEFA Nations League. So what more is there to achieve?
Yeah.
But I did think about this because he's 26 years old. And it is quite intriguing, you're right, because he is playing in the Premier League for, a side who you would probably describe Wolves on average as maybe mid-table. Obviously, the season just gone, there was a bit of concern.
Finished 13th last season.
Yeah, so, but they would certainly not want to be in a relegation battle or expect to be in one, perhaps would be a better way of putting it. So I suspect that, yes, you're offered this kind of money. And look, this is reminiscent to what the Chinese League was doing a few years ago.
I think it's the money on offer is even more than that, though, isn't it?
It
would turn anyone's
let's
head.
face it, the Premier League 20 years ago. How dare you do the thing that we did 20 years ago?
But it is like...
Where do you get this idea?
Well, you get offered that kind of money, as you say, it's hard to turn down. But from Neves' point of view, he can go there for a year or two, and it may only be a year or two. We'll see, of course. Makes an absolute fortune. And then... he's still young enough to come back and maybe earn a
Go to Newcastle on loan.
Newcastle on loan. But also, though, he could return to his native Portugal and play for one of the top sides. Presumably his performances are still good and he's still got his eye in the game and blah, 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 blah. So I do see it from his point of view to go and make a huge amount of money because, let's be honest, he's had a great time playing for Wolves and he's been there for a long time, but there's no place like home. He was at Porto before Wolves. He could go back.
I do
play Champions League football and compete.
I do understand that argument, and I understand the argument Pete's making as well. I don't agree with either of them, though, personally.
What's your take?
Well, my take is that, it's easy for me to say because, obviously I'm not super wealthy or anything like that, and I suppose it's from the outside looking in, he's not really short of money. Like, he's not someone who's short of money, right? So I think we can understand that he's a wealthy person anyway. I don't like when people go through their lives, look at the price of everything and the value of nothing, right? I would, if I was a professional athlete, I'd want to play against the very best, and the old adage is that you go where you want to go and do the best you can. The money will kind of take care of itself. Right? He can go to Saudi Arabia when he's 32 in 6 years' time if he's so good that he wins all these trophies. Maybe because look at Diego Jota. He went to Liverpool and starts winning things and all the rest of it. There's other avenues available to him, and so for me, I think it's a shame. I think if you look at what happened with Oscar, he's still in China. He's not played for Brazil for like 8 years
was
now.
It Axel Witsel was
Witsel was another one who came back though.
Yeah, but it was when he went. I remember a few people going, "Oh, come on."
But what you're doing is you're taking yourself out of you're basically removing yourself from the top table of football and testing yourself against the best players, right?
But he's
let me just make the point, and because the other thing I want to say is the point Pete made, which I've seen a few people make, which I totally understand, but I just don't think it's a comparison. The English Premier League started off chucking loads of money at aging foreign stars when the inception of the Premier League happened, and they now still blow everyone else out the water in Europe when it comes to money. We all know that. But the reason they do that isn't the same reason that Saudi Arabia are doing it.
No.
The motivation is completely different.
Of course.
And I think
it's not state funded.
It needs to be acknowledged. But what does everyone around this table or anyone who's reporting on this deal know about the infrastructure or the investment that's going into young players or the tradition they want to build for football in their country? Because I don't know anything about it. I've not seen any of it reported.
I would suggest there's not much there.
Quite, which makes it very different.
much like Chinese. And the arse fell out the Chinese market, you know, 4 or 5 years ago.
Which is a
anyway,
warning.
so-
But Saudi Arabia want to try and host the 2030 World Cup. I think it's that
But
one.
why do they want to host it?
Because Qatar hosted one. It's a status thing. There's huge rivalry in that region. It's not just the rivalry. I wouldn't want to reduce it
It's
to
also
that.
about diplomatic soft power.
But you're talking about the people
It's
who
a
are...
Potemkin village of a
Yeah,
fucking
exactly.
league, though, isn't it? It's
That-
just
of
all,
course.
Yeah, but I'm
they're
just saying
doing it for one reason
on the
or another.
particular point of the fans, I think, you know, I wouldn't go as far to say that. But the other points, yes, I agree with you. And I think with Neves, I think the disappointing thing is that you're thinking he's 26 and he could move to a bigger club. Now, for him, maybe he's really tried and maybe he feels this is the ceiling. And like I say, maybe he wants to go back to Portugal at some point. But if he goes there, he signed a 3-year contract. He can make crazy money and then go back to Portugal, still arguably.
But that's
in
the
his
3
prime.
best years of his career, probably.
Maybe. I mean, look, I am very much projecting these thoughts onto the man. Who knows what he's thinking? But I agree with you that it is slightly disappointing from our sort of, if you like, purist fan point of view. As pure as it can be.
If you've got that money on offer, and we said this however many years ago when everyone went to China, or you know, some players went to China.
Yeah.
It's the difference between being wealthy and being well off in the pantheon of a modern Premier League footballer,
Yes.
and then there's creating fucking generational fucking wealth, like that would never disappear for 5 generations. So it's like I think there's something to be said for. You'd be fucking daft not to, surely. Like, you could do it for 1 year.
But you don't know
make
the
that amount
man's
of money-
situation as well.
No,
you
exactly.
don't know what, and then this is the thing. This is why we start to guess because for all we know, he wants to open a great big academy back.
He might shop in Sainsbury's.
Yeah, he might
rather
shop.
than
Well, he
Aldi.
might shop in Waitrose, Peter. With this
Shop
kind of
in
money.
Waitrose. Whoa,
the
steady.
thing, but that's it. When you compare that move to say Kalidou Koulibaly, you think, well, again, he's sort of coming towards the end of his career. Also, as well, I think as a chap who's not from Europe, I think the idea of going to say Saudi Arabia, you know, making the move from Africa to Europe it's a huge sort of cultural step and it's very, very different. So to then go from, say, Europe to Saudi Arabia, of course, that's a huge cultural thing, but you've already done one. Whereas I think for a European player, you do think to yourself, wow, that is quite different. Whether that's
also, I believe Kalidou Koulibaly is a Muslim as well.
Right.
And obviously, moving to a Muslim country I think has been very appealing for N'Golo Kante and for Karim Benzema and a few others as well.
But with regards to Rúben Neves, I think the point is he's 26, Luke, and you feel like he's got a lot left in the tank and perhaps could move to a better Premier League side.
Koulibaly's 32.
Yeah.
It's not worked out for him in the Premier League, and there could be different reasons for that, by the
And
way.
his heydays Napoli.
Look, Rúben Neves has cashed his chips in at 26.
Yeah.
If look, this show is about giving opinions on things, so I'm going to give my opinion. I'm not going to hold it against the man if he wants to do what he wants to do.
No, of course
but
not.
He's gone into football to play football.
Yeah.
You know, look at, I mean, who was it saying the other day? Someone was saying the other day, how many kind of upper middle class footballers are there in the Premier League? Right? Probably not that many, right? It's people start playing football because they love playing it, right? They don't necessarily come from money. Rúben Neves wouldn't have gone into football saying, "Oh, hopefully at 26 I can cash my chips in and make millions." You guys, I think the conversation needs to be framed differently. The conversation needs to be framed as, "Oh, you could do this and earn loads of money." No, he's already lent a fucking loads of money. You talk about generational wealth. He's on fucking £3-4 million a year.
But football shit. This is just another shit thing. I'm not surprised.
That's your response to everything. You know, your nihilistic approach to everything is that everything's shit. So who cares?
But it's disappointing. But it's Rúben Neves playing for Wolves. I don't. In the grand scheme of things, it's like, well, you know, he's not Messi. He's not Ronaldo. He's not in the top 10 conversation. So like, where does he go? He could do that for a couple of years, and like Marcus says, come back. It's
he could play for a better Premier League team than Wolves.
Yeah,
of course he could.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's cashed his chips at 26. He's perfectly entitled to do that, and we're perfectly entitled to criticise him for doing it.
No, absolutely.
This comes back to
without even talking about where the money comes from.
Well, indeed. And this is kind of what I got from watching that video. You know, again, I'm projecting onto it. I'm speculating, but it's very, very tearful and emotional video. A big part of that is that he's leaving a place he's been very happy in. But like I say, I think he's shifted his ambitions in a way that he didn't expect to ever, and he is saying goodbye to his ambitions in football. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
I think that's fair.
it
Fair
wouldn't
comment.
surprise me if I don't know, you don't know what clauses are in contracts and so on. Wouldn't surprise me in 2, maybe 3 years' time we see him pop up at a top Portuguese side, and he's back in the Champions League and back and competing for trophies. It wouldn't surprise me, but it doesn't take away what you're saying.
If you set fire to a year of your fucking career at 26, you're still setting fire to a year.
Yeah,
no one comes along and says, "Oh, your garage is burned down." Well, at least your fucking garage is burned down. Yeah. It's bad.
Marcus,
your house is burned down.
Right,
fucking shit.
I joined the Ramble at 28, so.
You set fire to your career. Same as me.
Still here.
Peter,
forget the garage fail. I don't know where I was going with that.
Pete achieved his goals before coming to the Ramble. I think it's something we can all get behind and celebrate, of course. Edouard Mendy is close to joining the Saudi Pro League as well.
This is a move. It's a diplomatic move. It's a soft power move. It's not enough for them to go after older players.
Right.
They want to push into the market and say, we can attract these
all right,
players.
let me go on, Jim.
I think they probably spotted an opportunity. We all see this on the internet now. A lot of the people talking about football, shouting about football, being very silly about football, being very happy about football, very angry about football, and not from Europe. And they love it. And obviously their loyalty is with the teams they fall in love with from afar. So if the Saudi League can fill their own league with players that make people feel that way, then they're maybe seeing an opportunity to create a huge market elsewhere.
Did you see that clip of that little boy in the Al Nassr crowd when Ronaldo won a free kick?
What were you doing?
He was going, yes, like really celebrating winning a free kick.
Yeah.
And then Ronaldo booted the ball
off his face,
cleared, straight into his face.
Shut up, really?
cleared the crossbar straight in the same kid's face. It was epic.
Oh my god,
absolutely good stuff.
Was he right? He's aiming for him. That's how good he is. That is how good he is. Well, look, maybe all this Rúben Neves, perhaps he follows Odion Ighalo on social media. And Odion Ighalo recently posted a video of the inside of the private jet he and his Al Hilal teammates get ferried around in. And
rubbish. It looks like a piece of shit.
Some people like that kind of
thing. It looks
thing.
like he's been made with one of those AI art generators.
Well,
make the best seat.
Donald Trump's toilet plane.
It just looks like a big bathroom.
No one is criticising people who live in Saudi Arabia who love watching football. Like it's fine to be a fan.
I think we're allowed to punch up with the people who have private jets. So.
Yeah, but if you are going to sum up,
yes,
Saudi Arabia's move into football, you probably could sum up pretty well by seeing a video of Odion Ighalo in a gold-plated jet.
Yeah,
it's Odion Ighalo.
Do you know what? The plane originally had 400 seats, but they made way for a dining room and a gold throne, among others.
Why do you need a throne on a plane?
The impact is lessened when you look at the video and have to go, who's that?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Odion Ighalo.
It's more just all of like the cupboards and cabinets are really far away from the chair, so you can't access them when you're strapped in. No. You can't do this and you can't do that. It's just like
surely.
Is that
with the little biscuits and the little nibbles and peanuts?
Thanks for watching a clip from the Football Ramble podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a video. And if you're feeling extra generous, why don't you like this video? Why don't you like this video?